All right, now we have to talk a little bit about the statues. As I understand it, in an interview with the New York Times this week, you said you have no remorse over the destruction of these two amazing statues of Buddha that were carved in a mountainside and destroyed by missiles and bombs in the last few days. How is it that you have no feelings over the destruction of such a historical and religious artifact?
Well, I've said when I was here, I heard this, if we were to destroy these statues, why didn't we destroy 3 years ago? And we said that we will preserve them. It happened when a group of foreigners came there from the Western world. They said that they are going to repair their statues. And next door, children were dying of malnutrition. And that malnutrition was caused by the sanctions, the economic sanctions. So the Council of Scholars had asked them to please help the children instead of helping the statues. We don't need the statues. Our priority is our children. 700 children died a month ago of malnutrition. So they said, if you're going to help us, please help us with the children. They said, no, this is only for the statues. And the people were pissed off. They said, if you don't care about our children, who are you caring about our past? If you are destroying our future with economic sanctions, then you have no right to protect our heritage.
But on the other hand, Lauren, you can help me here if I'm wrong, but I believe the United States gives $113 million annually in aid to Afghanistan. The world has been helping. So why is it that you would say somehow it's a case of no help coming and then help for the statues? In fact, there was help on both fronts.
Well, there is assistance coming to Afghanistan, and that assistance has the example like this. If I come and snatch $100 from you and then come tomorrow and give you $1 as a charity and ask you to thank me, the sanctions that are imposed by the United Nations cause us millions of dollars each month, and then they give us some $1,000 as charity. We say if they really want to help us, they have to lift the sanctions.
Well, you know, this is an interesting discussion, but, you know, one of the reasons the sanctions are there has to do not with the suffering of the Afghan people, but with the fact that your government continues to harbor Osama bin Laden and a lot of other groups that are sworn enemies of the United States and a lot of other places in the Western world. The issue is terrorism and your continued support of terrorism, which is one reason you're not getting a lot of support from the United States. And you won't get any support, I would imagine, until there's something is done for you to curb the support of international terrorism.
There are problems and the people are suffering because of the sanctions. I agree it is because of Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden existed in Afghanistan 17 years before we existed. He was there, and such people were instigated to go and fight the Soviets by the government of America and by the CIA. And they were called the heroes of independence by the CIA and the government of America. And we then don't need them anymore, they have transformed them into terrorists. Exactly like Mr. Yasser Arafat was transformed from a terrorist to a hero when they need him now. So we don't know as to what is the definition of terrorism. If they had problems with Osama bin Laden, why didn't they tell us before striking Afghanistan? We would resolve this problem very easily.
Well, excuse me, they have told you they've been passing on information about him for a long time. Osama bin Laden was chased out of Sudan and went to live in Afghanistan because the United States was approaching the Sudanese government about it, and they've been following him. They've certainly have repeatedly brought up the issue with your government. The idea that he was once a hero and today is a terrorist doesn't hold water. I mean, he has been proven, or at least not yet in court, but certainly all the investigations seem to point that he was responsible for bombing 2 American embassies and killing hundreds of people.
Well, I've said Bill Richardson was in Kabul in 1997. He never talked about this man. If they needed this man, why didn't they tell us then? All of a sudden, in 98, until 1998, we were called the puppets of America. In 98, we were all sitting at home. 75 cruise missiles fired at Afghanistan. We don't know who did it. And finally, we come out that the United States said that we are trying to kill a man whose name is Osama bin Laden and we want him. So we told the U.S. ambassador in Islamabad that if you needed this man, why didn't you tell us? And why did you try to kill a man without even giving him a fair trial? And even if somebody is a criminal, is the police going to blow his house or take him to a court? We don't think he was a criminal. And we have said, despite we were attacked, despite 19 innocent people were killed, and all these things, we didn't declare war. We were very polite. We had a lot of problems. We went to the U.S. Embassy and we gave 3 proposals for resolving this problem. The first one was that if the United States can provide us any kind of evidence that this man was involved in terrorist acts in Kenya and Tanzania, we would punish this man, and in our Constitution, anybody found guilty of killing civilians will face capital punishment. And that was rejected. We were told that our judicial system was not acceptable to the United States, and all we should do is that he should be given to New York. Okay, after that, we gave a second proposal. We asked that if the United States thinks that he is a threat to the United States security, we will accept an international monitoring group to watch his activities for the rest of his life, so that he is no telephone, meets nobody, and he is not active even politically against anybody. That was also rejected.
Well, hang on for just a moment. I want you to finish that thought. We have to take a break. We're talking about the hardships in Afghanistan and why the Taliban recently destroyed 2 ancient Buddhas. I'm Juan Williams. It's Talk of the Nation from NPR News. It's Talk of the Nation. I'm Juan Williams. We're talking with the roving envoy of Afghanistan's Taliban. Afghanistan is collapsing under the weight of war and economic hardships. Can the militant Islamic Taliban pull its country back from the brink? Our guests are Saeed Rahmatullah Hashami, roving envoy of the Taliban government of Afghanistan, and Lauren Jenkins, NPR's foreign editor. You're invited to join the discussion also. Give us a call, 800-989-TALK. Our email address is totn@npr.org. Mr. Hashami, you were responding to Lauren Jenkins' question about the presence of Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. You said, in your opinion, he is not a criminal.
Yes, he said that he is not a criminal, and we said if anybody thinks he is a criminal, they have to give us proof. And unless we have proof, we can't say he is a...
But Lauren said the United States government has given you proof.
They have given us nothing except a CNN clip and an indictment, which is not a proof.
Well, the issue is, you're quite right that one needs to bring Osama bin Laden to trial to find out just what is the case and to what extent he has been involved in these bombings and other acts of international terrorism. There is a trial going on in New York right now of some of his alleged aides that is bringing out a lot of evidence. So the indictment I think that you refer to is probably the indictment that came out of that trial, which is our legal system's the way we start, with an indictment which lays out the cases and the charges against any individual. The question is how do we bring him to justice? I think the United States would like you to send him to a Western court, send him to the United States, and let him stand trial.
So, Mr. Hashami, what Lauren describes is you bring someone to trial to find out if they're guilty. It's not the case that you prove they're guilty before you have a trial. Does that make sense to you?
That makes no sense to me, because justice is not only in the United States. Justice is everywhere in the... And you said about the trial of 2 guys in New York. We have said that, how do we know that you will not kill a man before giving him a trial? How can you justify trying to kill a man without even giving him a fair trial? The United States tried to kill him. And these 2 guys who are being tried in New York, one of them is Ali Muhammad and the second is Mr. Fadl. Mr. Fadl says, according to the grand jury itself, that he has stolen $110,000 from Osama bin Laden. And according to the grand jury itself, he has lied in one of his statements. Then how can you believe a thief and a liar? And the second man, who is Ali Muhammad, he said he is plea bargaining with his prosecutors. And plea bargaining means nothing for us, because justice is black and white. It has nothing to do with deal or bargaining or compromise.